Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Holiday Growth Marketing Workshop. We are so excited to have you all here today, joining NetElixir and UPS with our partner Google as we discuss the upcoming holiday season, how to best prepare yourself and your e-commerce business. Joined with me today is Sean McCarthy, the Director of Marketing at UPS, and he's going to start us off with a few words today. So with that, I'll pass it on over to you, Sean.
Thank you very much, Erin, and thank you everyone for joining us. So as Erin stated, I'm the Director of Marketing for UPS, covering a lot of the Midwest. I'm new to the Midwest, but not new to UPS. Almost 20 years with UPS across a bunch of different areas. But my team's responsibilities are for supporting our go-to-market strategy that's designed really to match the right solutions with the right customers to make our customers successful. And I think that's really what the spirit of today is matching our customers up to some potential solutions that I think, and I'm confident today you'll receive some tools to help make you successful this holiday season. And I'm standing between you and some great content, so I'm going to make my remarks very brief. But we have some great partners to UPS and to our customers in NetElixir and Google today. But like many of you, the holiday season is a peak time for UPS, and it's really critical to our success for the year, sort of a make or break for the year. And so with that, planning for that peak season really begins immediately after the previous holiday season, right? Which I'm sure many of you have begun thinking about while you still have to continue to do your job in those beginning parts of the year. You're always in the back of your mind thinking about that make or break part of the year. And I was talking with the fellow panelists here that it feels repetitive when saying this, as it seems for 10 plus years we've been saying that, this holiday season is going to be the most challenging yet. And again, that appears to be more true than ever for UPS and for our customers. So this couldn't be more timely and appropriate to have our customers get in front of. And so really our goal during the time together today is to provide you with some, like it described in probably your invitation, how it was positioned to you, but best practices and insights that increases your chances of a successful holiday season. And so I wish you all nothing but success this holiday season. And thank you again for making the time to be with us out of the busy schedule today. And I'm confident you'll find it time well spent with this group we have here today. So thank you again. And with that, Erin, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sean, for joining us. And with that, we are going to dive right in. So the agenda today, a little bit about what we're going to cover. I'll be doing the introduction with you all, a little bit about why we're doing this workshop. And then we're going to move in to Udayan's presentation on the 2021 Holiday Growth Marketing Strategies and E-commerce Forecast. We've got some fun quiz questions in there. And then we'll go on to Google's presentation with Farjad, covering Capture the Comeback, Google's 2021 Holiday Strategies. And then we'll have some closing remarks. So full jam-packed day. We're excited to have you all. Joined with me today is Udayan Bose, the founder and CEO of NetElixir. We also have Farjad Siddiqui, the Agency Development Manager at Google, and me, Erin Cummings. I am the Channel Partner Manager here at NetElixir. As I mentioned, we do have some fun quiz questions. So in between presenters, we're going to have 2 quiz questions, and the winner of each, who is the first person to answer correctly, will win a pair of 2nd generation Apple AirPods. And unfortunately, they didn't allow me to enter in the competition. So I wish you all the best of luck. But do please have on the private mode when you are answering this question in the Zoom chat so that nobody else can steal your answer. And the winners will be contacted after via email, and we will be sure to ship those out to you. Also, as a reminder, we have a short survey at the completion of this webinar. This helps us to understand what was beneficial for you and what NetElixir can do better in the future. So please do take less than a minute to complete that survey for us. We would really appreciate it. And also be sure to share on social media the insights that you've learned today and hashtag NXInsights. Awesome. So with that, we're going to jump into it with a little bit about NetElixir. So who NetElixir is. We help e-commerce brands find and engage high-value customers and acquire game-changing insights. And the way we do that is through a full suite of services that we'll cover on the next slide. These are our services over on the left-hand side, and we'll jump into those later. But as I mentioned, we are a full-service digital marketing agency able to help you with all of your needs across the board. And over in the top right corners, of course, we have to include our partners, our wonderful partners over at UPS. Thank you all so much for helping to make today successful. We are also premier Google partners, so thank you again for our Google partner for joining us today, as well as select Bing partner and Amoeba partner. And in the bottom right-hand side of the screen, you will see some of our fantastic customers that we've been able to help throughout the years as well. A little bit more about NetElixir. We have been working in the digital marketing agency for over 17 years. We have over 500 e-commerce success stories. We have our own proprietary customer intelligence tool called Elixir Insights, which you'll hear more about today, and over 12 years of international search marketing experience. As I mentioned before, we really are a do-it-all digital marketing agency, and we are so happy to have you all here. And with that, I do believe we are now going to cover why this workshop, why you're all here today. So as everybody knows, it's no secret, the e-commerce world has absolutely boomed in the last year because of the pandemic. And we saw 10 years of growth in just 3 months. So with all that unprecedented growth, we really want to prepare you all for what is now to come. And this is what they're channeling, that the future will look like of e-commerce, just continual growth with retail sales, in-store retail sales kind of staying the same, but e-commerce truly booming. So with that, we want to prepare you as best as we can. We have some questions that, of course, we'll be covering today. How will the first post-pandemic holiday season be? We'll give you some insights into that. How should businesses prepare for holiday success this year? And what are the holiday growth marketing resources that retailers can use? We've got a ton of great information today. I want to thank you all again for joining us. And with that, I'm going to pass everything on over to Udayan Bose, who's going to be leading us next. Udayan, you're muted.
I'm so sorry. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. And thanks, Erin, for the very kind introduction. Thanks, Sean, for really introducing the event. We deeply value this partnership with UPS, and it's really a privilege to have the entire UPS team as well as a lot of UPS customers join us for this about 90-minute session. As Erin mentioned, my section is more on the two parts. The first one is I'll be sharing with you the e-commerce forecast. And this is, I think, one of the most awaited events that has become since 2008. We have been releasing e-commerce forecast, and this would be our 13th one. So far, we have had a pretty successful track record of being accurate in about 10 out of 13 times that we are, or 10 out of the 12 times that we have really presented the forecast. It's a pretty strong record that we come with. And the second part of this, my session is more on just the holiday growth marketing strategy. Some of the things that as Sean really defined as one of the most unpredictable holiday seasons that we have experienced so far. Some of the strategies which can really help you to really sort of compete for the win effectively during this season. So let me start my session. And normally my presentation, just to warn all of you, tend to be extremely data driven. So I'll be sort of sharing with you a lot of data and try to connect the different pieces so that you can get an understanding as to what are some of the trends that we have been observing and what does it really mean for your business as you really move to the holiday season. So I'll just start with some of the year till date data insights. This is when I say year till date, it's more of Jan to August. And I'll start with the online and the retail sales data. And I have used the monthly retail trade report, which is published by the government around the 15th of every month. And as you can see in this one, very clearly, I think the online sales boomed. The percentage year on year on online sales, specifically in the months of, let us say, starting from March 2020, it just was extremely high, and it continued all the way till about Q1 of this year. But then since mid of April this year, we saw that the percentage online sales growth really came down. It was because of a couple of reasons. One, I think as vaccination really progressed, we had a lot of people, again, going out and trying to get a little bit of normalcy back in their lives. So as a result of it, the online sales were again substituted back by actual physical brick and mortar store sales. The second one was, I think we were also comparing with a very high base in 2020. The Q2 base in 2020 was extremely high because a couple of months, specifically April and May, I think the entire country was more or less in a lockdown. So I think from that perspective, still, I think there has been a bit of a decline or a shrinking of online sales. So strong Q1 2021, followed by a lesser than or lower than expected Q2. So understandably, there is a lot of anxiety as to how would the holiday season really pan out. So I wanted to share with you, and again, as I warned you earlier, that it's a lot of data and a lot of insights essentially sort of going in. So this is just for some of the categories we have tried to combine this, right? So I mean, these are like in 1,000 sessions, website sessions. So it's roughly about, that is a 20 million sessions and so on. And we have tried to aggregate home furnishings, home improvement, pet supplies, gifting, just to really, some of these categories essentially were booming during the pandemic last year. As you can see, there is very clearly almost like a cutoff day, literally, in terms of website session. It was roughly around the 2nd of May. Since the 2nd of May, as you can see, the website sessions in 2021 have rarely exceeded the number of website sessions or visits essentially in 2020. By sessions, I mean the number of people who are visiting your website. That essentially has been substantially lower compared to 2021. In terms of orders, I think that cutoff date came around the 22nd or 23rd of April. Since then, I think more or less for at least these categories, the online sales have been trending lower compared to what it was last year. There have been multiple reasons, and we'll sort of go into that. But I felt that this can really give you an understanding as to why there is a lot of uncertainty, unpredictability in terms of as to how the holiday season would be. Again, something which Sean mentioned to introduce this event. So what we really hope to do is we really want to help you understand as to how exactly we are looking into the holiday season. When I say we, it's basically NetElixir and Google, and why we believe that there is still a big reason why I think some of the marketers who are better prepared than others can do exceptionally well. And I'll give you a very specific example, again from the Midwest, where we had a marketer which is being extremely successful because they are strategically able to get things right. So that's the idea. So while these numbers and sessions may look a little discouraging, but we can absolutely assure you, and I'm pretty sure Farjad would agree with me as well when he comes on the Google presentation, that there are a tremendous number of opportunities which any marketer can really make the most of. And what are these opportunities? We'll be sharing over the next about an hour or so. Let us go into the key e-commerce trends first. So, I mean, as I have already mentioned, we had a strong Q1 where the aggregate year-on-year online sales growth was about 34%. It was followed by a slow Q2, roughly about 5% year-on-year online sales growth. So it declined dramatically. And a slower than anticipated back-to-school season. I mean, back-to-school season, there has been a lot written about it. Some companies have said, NRF actually has said it's probably close to about 8 to 9%. At least in our data set, we believe it is closer to about 7% is the online sales growth. So it's not bad, but it is not great. I mean, honestly speaking, back to school is a good indicator of the holiday season. So that's where I think I would have ideally liked it to be closer to probably about 10%. The second one was we saw very clearly the mobile devices are becoming the primary sales channel because we believe during this upcoming holiday season, mobile sales would account for about 52% of the total website sales. The reason I'm presenting this because I have seen while talking to a lot of UPS customers that there is an opportunity for you to focus more on the mobile and having a separate mobile marketing strategy, a mobile website strategy, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's one of the things I would really want to call out. We are already seeing that mobile devices are driving about 40 or almost half of all the website sales. And this number is just going to go up in the future. The third one, which I am pretty sure many of you are experiencing already, has been a big concern for many of our customers. We work with a little over 100 customers currently, retail e-commerce companies. And majority of them, they have been facing substantial amount of inventory issues. They are creating massive challenges in terms of creating a situation of unpredictability, right? So if I were to place an order for what exactly will I be selling during the holiday season, I don't feel that level of confidence to know as to how much and how many of a particular SKU should I be ordering and so on. So that has really continued to be a problem, the inventory issues. We have seen that fashion and beauty categories have done remarkably well in Q2 and Q3. However, as I showed earlier, I mean, the other categories have exhibited either moderate growth or pretty much no year-on-year growth. So understandably, what is the game plan going into the holiday season? And last but not the least, I think the YTD online sales accounted for about 19% of total retail sales. So if there is $100 of sale happening in retail, US retail, about 19%, $19 came from online, which was a pretty massive leap. I mean, if you remember Feb 2020, which is about 19, 20 months back, the contribution of online sales was just about 14%. So there was a massive leap. Now, as Erin presented, I think there have been a lot of discussions. Has the pandemic led to a digital acceleration of 3 years, 5 years? Some companies have said 10 years. Now, I think it's fair to say, given as to what we are seeing based on purely the data and the numbers, that the pandemic led to probably an 18 to 24 month leap forward, right? To get to 19%, I mean, online getting to 19% or 15%, I'm sorry, 1/5 of the total retail sales may have taken 2 additional years. So that's, I think, one of the trends which we have seen. All of these are important because as you really plan, I think it's always better to understand as to how the industry is really shaping up and what are some of the key forces which can be having a substantial influence on your business and the business priorities. Moving on to the next one, it is more of the key channel trends as well. As again, Erin highlighted, we are a growth marketing agency, and we really help our customers with all the digital marketing channels that we would think of. Obviously, we have search, which is our primary channel. We have the Google and Bing. Then the marketplaces have become pretty big. As I've seen, the e-commerce channel advertising marketplace ads are growing very rapidly. In fact, while everyone was focusing on Amazon advertising, then it came a Walmart advertising, but now Instacart is expected to cross about $1 billion in ad revenue next year. So that has been growing at a very, very fast pace. And Amazon, of course, continues to increase its dominance on product searches. Believe it or not, 68%, almost 70% of all product searches now happen on Amazon. So again, just that marketplaces have been emerging at a very, very fast pace. Social media has been essentially holding its own, but we are seeing very clearly the large platforms, the Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and even Amazon, they are applying AI to help marketers target and engage customers more efficiently. So effectively, I think we did some analysis, and we believe that this can be extrapolated or extended across all the advertisers in the US. We believe that 50% or more of Google ad budgets across, so let us say there are 100 advertisers in the US and they spend about $100. So $50 are essentially entirely being managed through all the AI-driven algorithms. So again, a big question is, what can you as a marketer do so as to benefit from the impact of these algorithms? How can you really tap into the power of these algorithms to get to the next level? And Farjad will sort of share with you some very specific tactics there as well. And the last part is every business and channel is trying to understand how digital advertising will change. Some of you may have read that the third-party cookies would deprecate. Basically, that has been the core fundamental foundational block for digital advertising. With the demise of the third-party cookies and the emergence of first-party cookies, now businesses would really rely on building their entire first-party cookie data system. Right? It is basically their own data. So how exactly will you go about really sort of building that ecosystem and really making advertising still profitable? We have already seen, for example, I mean, companies which are ignoring that part, like for example, it is a Facebook ads, the attributable revenue has already experienced a substantial decline till April 26, since there was a iOS 14.5 update. So there are a lot of trends, a lot of things which are happening in the industry as well. So understandably, as a marketer, the fundamental question is, how exactly do you keep in tune with all that is happening and keep ahead of your competitors as this change really continues to happen? Some of the stats, again, this is purely our own data. So Amazon's share of total online holiday sales, we believe, is poised to cross 49%. I know a lot has been written about. Some companies are expecting 44%, while others believe that Amazon is about 55%. Our share, and we have so far been able to map it fairly well, we believe at least. We believe that almost half of all the US e-commerce sales this year during this holiday seaon would essentially go to Amazon. And when I say Amazon, I'm talking about the first-party sales, Amazon products selling on Amazon, plus the marketplace sales as well. So essentially, the advertisers who are selling on Amazon as well. So Amazon as a platform. And that huge growth, understandably, when you have half of such a huge US overall online sales business, half of it is going to Amazon. What exactly is driving it? We believe the 148 million plus Prime members are really helping drive this Amazon growth. We are seeing this number slowly taper off in the last year or so. I mean, 2020 was pretty strong for them. This year has not been as strong, but again, 2020 was a big growth time. And we believe that moving forward, that will probably sort of taper off at around 153 or 160 million. But 160 million still is a massive number in the US that we are talking about, right? And this will continue to fuel essentially Amazon's growth and expansion strategies moving forward as well. With that, let me move on to the second part of my presentation. I hope I'm doing okay on time. I wanted to share the holiday e-commerce photo. As I mentioned, I think this is something which is one of the most awaited events at Netlexir, where a lot of the press, the publications, the e-marketers, they really sort of try to attend this session, because since we are really tracking a lot of the real-time customer data, I think we have been able to get up with a pretty high level of accuracy. So just to give you a basis of the forecast, it's an ongoing analysis of e-commerce and search marketing metrics for our customers, mostly mid-size and large customers with greater than 700 million in online holiday revenue. So specifically as the 2 months, November 1st to December 25th revenue. Over 500 million unique website visits forecasted for the upcoming holiday season across some of the key categories. And as I mentioned earlier, we have been aggregating this data since 2008. I mean, this is going to be our 13th holiday forecast effectively. And again, I completely agree with Sean. This is without doubt has been the most difficult one for us to really come up with a forecast. Just because of the uncertainty and unpredictability around this holiday season, I think it has really become a pretty complex overall initiative for us. So we are actually predicting slower than usual growth in e-commerce sales, but I have a bit of a caveat there as well. So we are anticipating about 6% year-on-year growth this holiday season in terms of online or e-commerce sales growth. Now, while 6% is a lot lesser compared to what we experienced last year. Last year was huge. It was upwards of 33% in the month of December. It went up to 47%. The year previous to that was about 12 or 13%. So normally it has been about 12 to 13% for the last few years. So why 6%? There are two reasons. One, obviously, we are comparing with a much higher base. As I mentioned, I mean, last year's base was substantially inflated because of the pandemic, right? So we are looking at a growth which is over and above that 33% growth that was experienced last year during the holiday season. So it is still not by any means a low number. The second part is there are certain forces which also are making things a little more complex in the holiday season. For example, forces, as I mentioned, like the supply chain issues of the inventory challenges that companies are experiencing. Forces, for example, the overall consumer sentiment, which is being tracked by the University of Michigan's the Consumer Sentiment Index, has been in decline in the month of August, and they expect it to decline further in the month of September as well. And this is happening primarily because of the Delta variant surge in certain parts of the country. And that I would really call out as the second big reason, which is really creating or throwing a lot of uncertainty around the growth projections. So one, it's basically we are comparing versus a much larger base of last holiday season. And the second one is the Delta variant is making things a little more uncertain compared to what we would have really all wanted it to. Three factors, though, that will drive the 6% year-on-year e-commerce growth. 6% is still, as I mentioned, over and above a big base, a substantial number. The first part, we feel very confident that the new pandemic shoppers, so these are the new to online shoppers who purchased for the first time ever online during the pandemic last year. They will have a big influence this year on holiday sales. Let me repeat that again, just because this is a very important one that I'm talking about. So there are in fact, eMarketer estimates about 7.4 million people in the US. They shopped for the first time ever online last year. And they were compelled to do that because of the lockdowns during the pandemic. We believe 25% of all these new to online shoppers will really be shopping during this holiday season. So one piece of advice or recommendation that I would have directly to this thing, how well do you really understand these new to online shoppers? Because understandably, their entire search, shop and buy behavior would be completely different from someone who has been used to shopping online for many years now. So something to keep in mind, if there was one advice, recommendation, request I would have to all of you, is spend some time going into your database for the last about 18 months and see as to which are these new to online shoppers that you have been able to acquire. And try to understand as to how exactly are you trying to engage them. And then have a plan as to how exactly do you really plan to engage them and get them back to your website during the holiday season. That's, I think, the first one. The second one is an earlier than normal start to holiday shopping. That would be influenced, in our opinion, based on, unfortunately, the ongoing stock shortfalls and the inventory problems. So we believe that that may influence an earlier start to the holiday season, an earlier than usual creation of holiday shopping lists and purchases when the products are available. Because now customers have really experienced that those shipping disruptions as well as the stockouts for almost about 15, 18 months now, right? So now they are conditioned that if I don't buy it early enough, I may not really actually sort of find it in stock. So if something is really, really precious for me and I really want to give that as a gift item, I probably should be sort of purchasing it today, right? So we believe that entire thing, when aggregated over a mass, would really lead to a trend which would see earlier than normal start to the holiday shopping season. Something to keep in mind as you are really planning out your overall, the entire inventory situation and inventory areas. The third one, the increase in online shopping also is getting impacted by the Delta variant. There are certain geographies which have been hit pretty hard with the Delta variant, and we really hope and pray, I think, this subsides and everything sort of gets back to normal as quickly as possible. However, what we are seeing very clearly, there seems to be a certain percentage of people or consumers who started shopping outside in the stores. Unfortunately, because of the resurgence of this COVID-19, they have been forced to again go back online and sort of start shopping online. So that's, I think, one of the things that we believe may have a part to play when we get into the holiday season. In fact, one of the things that our product team or technology team recently did was we really built a data visualization map which tries to really correlate the rate of vaccination as well as the number of active cases which are happening on a daily basis with the overall online sales. And we see that there are certain correlations which are emerging in areas whereby the online sales have gone up as the number of Delta variant active cases, the new cases have gone up as well. So something to be sort of mindful of. So these are the three factors which we feel will have an influence, and that's the reason, 6% year-on-year e-commerce growth is what our projection is. So quick strategic growth marketing recommendations for the holiday seasons. It's very simple. I just keep it to the top three. The first one is choose your product that you really want to promote. Extremely important, because you have to understand that, and we understand that you are really sort of maybe dealing with some inventory issues for certain products. Obviously, you have to really factor that part in. But then just use this matrix to your advantage. This matrix, all it does, it basically maps all of your products or categories based on the profit margin. Profit margin is, let us say, I'm selling this, right? How much money do I make every time I sell this? And secondly, how many of these am I selling in a month, right? So you have the velocity and you have the profit margin. If you multiply both of those, basically your profitability, the ROI. So effectively, we would request you to start identifying your star products. So star products are the ones in the green quadrant in this particular matrix. And really try to sort of have a clear plan in terms of how do you really want to promote it. Do you really want to promote on your website only, or do you want to promote on website as well as Amazon and some other marketplaces as well? So have that plan ready, and this model can really help you substantially, really mapping out your entire inventory and just sort of decide as to what should I promote, when should I promote this, what is the sort of level of promotion that I should be using, etc. as well. So that would be our first recommendation. Choose what you really want to promote very carefully and when. The second recommendation, again, I've already talked about the new to online shoppers and understanding more about that. The same case, I think one of the things that, since, we have a product, I think Erin alluded to it very briefly. It's our proprietary customer intelligence platform, and it has the capability of algorithmically segmenting customers into high-value shoppers, mid-value, and low-value shoppers. So high-value shoppers, we have seen, they drive a substantial amount of revenue to your website, right? And we can really identify these folks, and we can really target them through Google, Facebook, and so on in a much more precise manner. So as a result of this precise targeting and identifying these high-value audiences, every marketing dollar gets you probably about 3 times to as much as 10 times higher returns compared to just targeting any average customer, right? So identifying these high-value customers and having a plan to retain them becomes a very important one as well. But that starts with knowing how these high-value customers. Do you really know as to who are your high-value customers? What products and prices are most popular? What channels are most effective for your high-value customers? So if you can spend some time doing this data analysis, you will see there are certain pockets. I would probably even sort of mention that for most of you, it would be anywhere between maybe 8% to 15% of all of your shoppers drive more than 20% of your 25% of your revenues, right? So spend some time understanding these folks and understanding as to how exactly do you really want to engage them moving forward during the holiday season. So that can be a massive sort of an impact creator for your business. And since you already have these customers, I think you are not really spending money in terms of customer acquisition and all that stuff, right? So that's, I think, another idea which I wanted to share with you. And the third part probably is the most important one in an uncertain holiday season like this. Have a plan B ready. Because in many cases, we have seen that the businesses have really sort of gone in expecting something. But you expect something when there is a certain amount of standardization in the overall environment. Now, this environment is there are a lot of moving parts. So we would strongly recommend having a plan B ready. So that's, I think, those are the 3 strategies I very clearly wanted to highlight. I see some questions have come up. I'm happy to. The statistic, I think someone has asked about the stats very specifically on this one. Were you referring to the high value shopper? Oh, I think the high value shoppers we are talking about anywhere between, let us say, 8% to 15%, 8 to 15% of all of your shoppers drive 25 to 40% of your revenues, right? So it's important for businesses to identify these high value shoppers and then have a plan to really target and engage them effectively. Great question. Thank you. I will sort of quickly move on to some example, I think, as to what is the impact. So we all talked about as to how uncertain the season is, how the difficult part is, etc. For example, I mean, we have seen very clearly when you are able to do these things right, have the strategy right, you can get some extraordinary results. I mean, Circa Lighting, one of our clients, they got 26% lift in the holiday season revenue. During Cyber Monday, the ROAS, the return on advertising spend, went up by 101%. And during Thanksgiving Cyber Monday, the entire time, it went up by about 345%. So if you really have your plan right, and I'll be sort of presenting to you also the holiday calendar that you can really use to plan your advertising and targeting well, you really can sort of see your overall performance go to a different level. So while we all talk about the uncertain holiday season, the key takeaway which I would request all of you to take from this thing is, if you really have the strategy and the plan right, and if you have really the right overall resource support structure, then I think you can be extraordinarily successful during the holiday season. I just wanted to summarize my presentation before handing it over to Erin for conducting the first poll. We are predicting a slower than usual holiday season, but again, we are talking about a larger base last year. So 4% increase in the e-commerce orders and by 6% increase in the revenue. Amazon's share will likely increase. I mean, last year it was close to about 47%. We believe it will increase to about 49%. And we would request you to apply our 3 recommendations to risk-proof your 2021 holidays. We'll be, I think, sort of going ahead and wanted to share with you a couple of holiday resources as well. You can download this from our website as well. The first one is we are also offering exclusively for the UPS customers an opportunity to have a 30-minute consultation session with Netlexer and Google. So it's basically a joint initiative of Netlexer and Google collaborating with UPS and really conducting these one-on-one virtual sessions. Now, these are sort of almost like a dive deep and helping you really craft and formalize your holiday plans. These are pretty intensive sessions. And for those of you who are interested, you can use the link below, netlexir.com/events/UPS workshop to really sign up. We will be able to offer about 15 sessions, and we have 2 workshops. Basically, one is today and the second one is on the 23rd. And effectively, if anyone is interested, I would request you can probably go ahead and do that right now, pretty much. And we did one more such workshop in the month of April. And I'll give you an example as to how impactful these workshop discussions can be. So we started working with Rally House. We did the workshop and they really wanted us to really execute what we had recommended. We started the management in the month of July, and this was a one-on-one consultation session was held in April this year. August, September, that has been our full 1 month period. The year-on-year paid search revenue for Rally House is increased by 227%. So again, as I told you, I mean, these are times which are uncertain, but if you really have the strategy, your overall resource support structure right, then I think you can be extraordinarily successful. And Rally House is a great case to the point. I also wanted to share with you our holiday e-commerce calendar. This calendar breaks down some of the key dates between the 14th of November till about the end of the year. The dates that you see highlighted in red, that is where you would see the maximum competitive intensity. You would see a lot of sales happening, online sales happening, but you would see that the competition would be extremely aggressive during that time as well. The dates which are in orange, you would see a fair amount of moderate competitive intensity, but the online sales are likely to be high also. And the green ones are where it is not high, but it is still higher than the ones which do not really have any color. So we would request you to just go through these holiday calendar. If you have any questions, feel free to sort of reach out to us directly or to your UPS partner, and we'll be happy to really sort of jump on the call. But this calendar has been extremely helpful for us in terms of our planning the entire holiday marketing strategies for our customers. You can really download it directly from the URL netlexir.com/insights/holiday readiness kit, and hopefully this really helps you to succeed. And last but not the least, I think this is a range of offers that we are excited to present. We are hosting our event, the X equals experience. This is where we try to bring about 5 to 7 academics and normally about 30 to 35, mostly the business leaders, to discuss about a day and a half of what will happen next in the digital marketing world, right? What is the next big thing in the digital marketing world? And we do it in Princeton, New Jersey. We are going to be, for the first time, also sort of doing live streaming of the event as well. So I would love to sort of do a personal invitation to all of you. And any one of you who's unable to join us in person, we'll be more than happy to have you join our live stream. It would be on October 1st, just about 2 weeks away. So with that, I know I have already exceeded the team. I have gotten the time warnings multiple times, but I will, with that, again, thank all of you for joining this session, and let me hand it over to Erin for conducting our first poll.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Udayan. That was wonderful. I hope everybody was paying attention. We have our first pop quiz. So the first thing is to make sure that you have your chat to only hosts and panelists, and so that way nobody else can see your answer. And the question is, Amazon's share of total online holiday sales is poised to cross what % this holiday season? And I will give you all a few seconds to share your answers. And we will be emailing the winner at the end of today. So make sure to check your emails later tonight and see if you were the winner. But with that, I think Udayan, you can reveal the answer. 49%, good job. I see a ton of people responding, paying attention. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. And like I said, the winner will be contacted at the end of today. Awesome. So next up, we have Farjad, who's going to be joining us from Google, giving us our Google presentation today. Again, pay attention to everything that's going on, because there will be a quiz question at the end of Farjad's presentation as well. And if you have any questions that pop up, please feel free to submit them to the Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom chat. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to you, Farjad.
Thanks, Erin. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and thank you, Udayan, for all that insight and the work that we've done together. I think Rally House is one example of making sure that you capture all of that demand that we see as we move into a post-pandemic world. If it's still post-pandemic, I think we're still sort of figuring that out, but kudos to you and your team on that. Hello, everyone. I'm Farjad Siddiqui. I'm the agency development manager here at Google. I work very closely with Udayan and his team to ensure that clients and advertisers like yourselves can get the most out of Google. So my presentation is going to be similar to Udayan's. We're going to go over some data, some insights in terms of what we expect 2021 holiday to be, what we saw in 2020, and then really focus in on some of the tactics that we think, or strategies that we think you can employ to make sure that you are successful. One of the things that I really took away from Udayan's presentation was it's going to be an uncertain holiday, and that is true, but there is a lot of optimism if you are prepared. So it's all about making sure that you are doing everything right. You are utilizing the best practices, really understanding your business and your consumers the best you can so that you can win. Next slide, please. So like Udayan showed, we saw with Rally House, we saw 227% increase in revenue. So there is pent-up demand, and we are seeing consumers come back, not just online. I would say the landscape has shifted since 2020, where we're seeing a lot of shoppers return to brick and mortar stores. So what does that really mean? That means that we will see this holiday be a lot more fluid when it comes to online to offline, and that's really where you want to be as prepared as you can be. Next slide, please. So last year we know was tumultuous and challenging, but we saw consistent patterns intensify during the 2020 holiday season. As we look ahead to life after the pandemic, consumers are wondering what will be different in our lives. What has changed? What are some of the behaviors that we will continue to keep, and what will we go back to as things do open up in 2021? Next slide. In 2020, the shopping season was the biggest ever for digital spending, like they mentioned, with 1.1 trillion in global sales, with 45% of all digital holiday spend happened by the end of Cyber Week. So a lot of shoppers were making sure that they do their holiday shopping early. I think last year we also had the elections, which I think definitely impacted all of that. Plus we had Amazon Prime Day in October. So all of that was taken into account, but people still shopped earlier than before. I think this will continue into this holiday, where you want to be as prepared as you can be. And when those, when your prospective consumers are looking for what you are selling, you have to convert them early and engage with them as early as possible, because once they find your competitor, there's a chance that you might lose them. Next slide, please. Two things we learned from 2020. Like I mentioned, shopping started earlier. You can see here the growth year over year. Pre-Cyber Week was 83%, which is the highest. When we're looking at Cyber Week in itself, not as high, but still, we're still pretty good. And then post Cyber Week, we saw more people buy. So I think what you're gonna see is that that early shoppers continue to grow this year as well. I think even end of October, we're gonna expect the holiday sales to be higher. And one of the things as well would be inventory issues, right? So when I think a lot of consumers are aware, because when they're buying at the moment, they're seeing a lot of the things that they want for themselves maybe pushed back. So now they know if they're looking for holiday gifts, they have to decide earlier. Earlier the better, to make sure that they have those. And we also saw e-commerce lead the way, which makes sense, as a lot of people were still worried about the pandemic. We didn't have vaccines at that point. The focus was on revenue. I think partners like UPS did a really good job of getting consumers their packages and things like that. So I think we saw e-com do really well in November and December. going to continue, but I think there will be a little bit more of a shift to in-store. So the one thing I'll say is if you have both, if you are an e-com and a brick and mortar store, you will have to engage with your customers in both of those places. Let's say you're a pure player and you're only e-com, you are still able to capture those consumers because they will be engaging online first. And I think that's the biggest difference than holidays pre-pandemic, where a lot of people did go in store, but now I think a lot of your consumers are really engaging with what you are selling and with your brand early. They're doing their research early on digitally before going in store. Next slide, please. So between the pent-up consumer demand, the increased role of digital in the shopping journey, and our just collective re-emergence, the 2021 holiday season is predicted yet again to be unlike any other. And when it comes to shopping behavior, we're already seeing signs that the post-pandemic, the role of online and store will be even more blurred. Last year, many people avoided in-person shopping, instead relying on convenience option like curbside pickup or ship to store. But there is a strong desire to head back in store, with 85% of holiday shoppers indicating they'll return to physical retail in some way, right? I think the keyword there is in some way. What to me that really means is that they are looking to go buy that thing, get it sooner rather than later, but they will be doing a lot of research before they go into it. And that sort of takes me into the other stat, which is 58% of holiday shoppers are planning to shop online more than previous years, but 40% of consumers still using digital to assist their in-store shopping. The research will happen before they go in store. They will not be spending the same amount of time that they were spending pre-pandemic. So you have that opportunity to really engage, really make sure that you are winning that customer before they even go into the store, so that there is no question that you will win that sale. Next slide, please. Something we've learned, something we've seen is all brands have ramped up their digital and omni strategies. It's not enough to just show up and win. This year, consumers expect more. I think there are more competitors in each category and brand. It is lapping large e-com growth. So the expectation is that 80% of holiday shoppers expect good promotions. They expect to be given some value. I think very, very important here is that when you mix that with the fact that we expect a lot of shoppers to start their holiday shopping earlier, is to be more nimble. Be smarter about how you bring those promotions into market. Don't just wait for Cyber Monday. Think about where you can really leverage some of those other days that Udayan mentioned, where there will be people shopping, but maybe less competitive, and really figuring out what works best for you. But the fact is that a lot of shoppers do expect promotions heading into this holiday season. We can move 2 slides down. So capture the comeback. 3 things we want to keep in mind when we're looking at making sure that we have a successful 2021 holiday is mind share equals market share. Cut through the noise to influence and acquire shoppers with digital. Maximize all sales. This is really whenever there is a prospective consumer, you make sure that you make them into your customer. That's key. And then the third one, which is very, very important, something that I can say that NetElixir does a really good job at, is win the season with data. Making sure that you are using all the tools in your tool belt. A lot of that is data, first party data, even some third party data for 2021, ways that you can really ensure that you are getting the most out of your holiday budget. So let's dig into mind equals market share. Again, 88% of consumers bought from a retailer in their initial consideration set. That means you have to get to them before someone else does, before your competitor does. Once they sort of have you in their consideration set, they are more likely to buy from you than waiting for you to come up with something when they're really ready to buy. And then 43% of shoppers use YouTube to research and shop. I think that increased even more in 2020, plus 10% from 2019. Just shows you that your advertising cannot just be at the for one channel or two channels. You have to think about your holistic brand and your holistic business so that you are engaging with your customer the best you can. So how do you do that? Keep your brand top of mind. Looking at some upper funnel ways, discovery, YouTube, things like that, making sure that you are in front of your customers where they are. Turn spontaneous discovery into sales. Again, there's different ways you can do that. With us, with YouTube, we work with influencers and things like that. Capture undecided shoppers early when they research by targeting broad and non-branded keywords on search. Again, this if you add a lot of this with your audience data, you can really go in. You can really find those people that you didn't know existed with some more broad strategies. And then the important thing is converting those upper funnel folks, and you can do that with discovery ads, video action campaigns with certain audiences. Second slide, please. The second one is maximize sales. Again, this is, I think, to me, this is an interesting stat. About 40% of consumers are still using digital to assist their in-store shopping. I think this will continue to grow. People want to be more informed when they go in. So you want to make sure you are doing everything you can to stay engaged with that customer so that they buy from you, even if they are going into a mall. More things to do that is drive profitable sales. I think Udayan mentioned this as well, is having an understanding of what your profit margin is, having an understanding of well, which products drive the most profit for you, and making sure that you are doing the best you can to maximize that volume. Again, you can do this in different ways with the strategies that we have with some smart shopping campaigns and shopping campaigns. Second one is acquire new customers. So making sure that you aren't just looking at not just on one ROAS target, or you're not looking at this one thing. You're looking at your customers differently to make sure that you can identify, okay, my goal for this particular campaign is to drive new customer acquisition. This is how I'm going to do it. Don't necessarily give up on that customer if they haven't bought from you and they're a bit more expensive. Think about them as a lifetime value. Think about making sure that you're not giving them up to a competitor. And third one is increasing sales. I think if you have an online offline with omni-bidding strategies, you can drive that. We have we do a lot of machine learning, a lot of AI. That's the part of Google Ads. So really, I would say making sure that you are utilizing all of those strategies to really increase your overall sales. And then if you have a store, drive traffic to stores. There's different ways to do that. Local campaigns being one, which show up on Google Maps. Other ways to do it would be to have certain call to actions in your video campaign, or even with location extensions and things like that. Next slide, please. And the third one here is win with data. So I think this one is very, very important because if you don't have good data, then your actions won't really be fruitful. So you collect the data, use it as you can, making sure your data is the most I would say fruitful, because you know your customer best. So utilizing the first party data gives you that advantage of really honing in on, okay, these are my customers, these are my best customers, or these are my worst customers. This is how I need to interact with them. What we've seen from this is 50% of shoppers say they will shop online more than previous years, and then 2x incremental revenue from a single ad placement with effectively using first party data. So your overall efficiencies will go up. 4 ways to do that is leverage technology to collect valuable customer data, to create connections, prevent churn and loyalty, use your first party data signals to inform your targeting and bidding, expand the reach of your best performing first party audiences. For instance, if you know what your best customer looks like, you can input that into Google Ads and create similar audiences based on that. So things like that, you can get a good sense of who to really go after, and then grow sales online and offline by really delivering the right message, the right moment with the privacy durable audience solutions. So the second piece here is be ready. Now, how do you do that? Preparedness is key for the unique retail period, right? It's impossible to predict exactly what revenue figures 2021 will be, especially with the pandemic still a part of our lives. I think it's moved in a great direction, but it's still here. It's the Delta variant, it's still here. So as 2021 is a unique year, you may have business goals that are different for this holiday season. For example, you may want to increase volume and make up lower demand first half of the year. Then maybe adding more flash sales on your site, or increasing marketing efficiency goals. You may also want to increase profit and ROI. So I think it's a matter of like understanding what you are trying to achieve and making sure you double down on those strategies, using all of the different tactics, different best practices we have to really succeed. Two stats here: like 23% of shoppers start looking for gifts ideas 3 to 6 months prior to the holiday season. Again, this sort of ties back into our call out around shopping earlier. People want to make sure that they have those gifts, so they will start looking earlier and earlier and get a good understanding of this is what we want to get for our for our family and friends. And then this one is one of an interesting one, is because of the pandemic, 81% of shoppers across the globe say they discovered new brands. This is good and bad, right? And this is good in the sense that if there's an ability for you to find new customers. You don't have to rely on your same customers. It also means that your customers may be looking at some of your competitors, or may have already been introduced to those. So again, you have to make sure that you do not give up your customers, but you also have the opportunity to win new customers. Next slide, please. So plan ahead for key dates this holiday season. I think the calendar that Udayan mentioned is much nicer than this, but just to give a good understanding of, okay, well, September is really when you can test certain things, you can really prepare. I would say this is where you make sure your feed is great, if you're running shopping campaigns, which all of you should be running, because that is the key to e-com from the Google end. So making sure your feed is in good health. For October, you want to really see what worked in September and make sure that you can scale it into the peak periods of November and December. And really, November and December is when you have to capture those dollars. I think this could even, I would say this sort of comes up to like mid-October almost, where a lot of people will be shopping earlier on. So having a fluid budgets is very, very important here, making sure that when someone is ready to buy, you are making sure that they click the checkout and press buy rather than leaving before then. Another important thing, I think, especially for us here in the US, is Hanukkah is right where Thanksgiving is, right? Like it's right after Thanksgiving, but starts before Cyber Monday. So it's going to be a very we're going to expect a lot of those gifts to be bought before it gets really, really busy at the end of November, early December. Again, some other new holidays to look out for is like Small Business Saturday, where we have Singles Day and Diwali, which is a little before, but still these are big holidays globally. And then Last Shipping Day. This is very, very important and very apt for partners of UPS. I think making sure that you are, there's two things. One thing here is that the closer shipping can be to Christmas, the better, but we know that's not always possible. We also understand that also isn't accurate. So I think what you want to really do is make sure that your best customers know when your last, your shipping day is, because I think it's more important for you to let them know that they need to buy earlier rather than them not getting those gifts before holiday. Next slide, please. So here are some, and when Netlexir shares this, but a few things you can use just to make sure that you're doing your best, and Netlexir does this really well. But there's the rising retail categories, which is an external. I would say you can just search for it and you'll find it. It gives you good understanding of which retail categories are rising compared to others. So it gives you a good sense of where your business may be. And then there's shopping insights report, which you can find in your Google Merchant Center. Gives you some more insight in terms of which products and brands are popular, which trending up and down, how these insights vary by region. There's the Google Merchant Center bestsellers report. This is directly looking at what you are selling and compared to how they're performing in the market. So it gives you a good sense of what you can do. And then the retail category report you can get directly from Google Ads. And this is a good way to see, okay, so if you have different categories and you're selling like, shoes and t-shirts, you can sort of get a good sense of, okay, which of these categories is performing well and which ones should I focus on, especially if one of them has a higher margin compared to the other. Next slide, please. This is Grow My Store. Again, you could just find Grow My Store, search it. This is a free tool which helps retailers improve their customer experience. This is a Google tool. Again, it's very straightforward. It gives you just an assessment of your own website, consumer insights and country benchmarks, and we'll give you some of our suggestions in terms of how you can really do better and capture the full potential. Again, it's nothing you have to pay for. Just you can check it out at your leisure. So I think the be ready piece here becomes a little bit more tactical, and then also something that is very, very important. Track every single sale. Making sure that you have all the code correctly placed onto your website, so that when someone actually does get to the thank you page, you understand how they got there and how they got there and their value. So I know this is a little bit basic for some people, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware, like you can track this within Google Ads and you can see the how much each of your transaction was. So very, very important as we head into holiday season that we are tracking every conversion. Next slide, please. Google Analytics. Set up Google Analytics property to make sure that you are looking at all your data. So this would be to make sure that you can look at your site as a whole and not just the Google paid search initiatives, but all your marketing initiatives and even your organic stuff. So I think having that data, using that data to really make your decisions, not just on Google, but across your marketing mix is very, very important. Data becomes again, that's really where you can make your best decisions for this holiday. Next slide, please. For Google specifically, we have what we call OptiScore or optimization score. This is a good way to gauge where you are as an advertiser, what are the things you can do right away within your Google Ads account that will drive more more conversions for you. I think we've seen a plus 10% increase in conversions for a lot of those advertisers that are closer to 100% than before. So a lot of these are best practices that you may already be doing, but you may not have seen or may have missed out on. So I would utilize that to make sure that you are doing everything that you can to be the most efficient. NetElixir does this really well for their clients. They continue to keep their Opti score at a high place. So we know that those accounts are getting the most out of Google Ads. Yep. So 4 really important things I think is very important to be a holiday readiness is bids. So Udayan mentioned, AI being such a big part of what advertising is these days, and that's 100% true. Automation has done wonders. It's really given marketers like yourself and even agencies the ability to take look at what's happening and then make strategic decisions rather than more tactical ones that you will be doing often. It's given the ability for agencies like Netlexir to really understand how they can grow their advertisers. So again, for e-com specifically, we want to bid with target ROAS. You want to make sure that you are giving machine the ability to better understand who to go after by giving them a goal of, hey, this is the ROAS we want to hit. As long as we're hitting this ROAS, please get us whichever customer you want to within the different audiences that you probably set up. Second one is budgets. I expect this holiday season to be very it's going to be different in the sense that you might not expect one day to be a very big day, but it might just turn out to be a really big day for you. And you want to make sure that your budgets are very fluid on those days. You want to make sure that if you run out of budget in a campaign that is performing really well, that you didn't expect to happen, you can then add more budget to it, and sort of vice versa. So again, keep enough budget so that you do not miss out on sales for even half a day. And that sort of ties into making sure that you have a target ROAS, which as long as I get that ROAS, I don't mind spending however much. And then coverage, dynamic search as in broad match keywords give you the opportunity to expand your coverage. You can really go after a lot more people, and all of this in conjunction with bids really doesn't matter, because if as long as you're hitting your target ROAS, you're still able to get those people. And then lastly, like I mentioned, like shopping, smart shopping gives you more access to more placements, and it still really goes after your the highest ROAS driving placement. So again, these are the 4 things that I would say are very important when you look at lower funnel tactics heading into holiday readiness. Next, yep. And then lastly, I'll say is that advertise across platforms to meet holiday shoppers whenever they're open discussing new products. You wanna we talked about making sure that you are engaging with them early on. That means you have to be ready. You have to make sure that you are on some upper funnel advertising, that when someone does show up on YouTube or on a discovery feed, you are there as well, especially if they sort of fit in within your audience targeting. And then we all know the importance of search and shopping. If you have a local store and you have a goal of getting a certain amount of people in store, because that is going to be a sure shot way to make sure that they get their gift before holiday. Well, there's local campaigns that you can do it. So really to say is that you want to look at every one of these platforms differently, but you also have to look at them together in a way where if someone sees your video ad, they might come back to you to search for you, or they might connect with you through a shopping ad, but then they also might go into store and buy it. So again, that's something that you want to make sure of your best understanding. Netlexir does a good job of understanding all of that to make sure that you have the right budget across the different platforms. Next steps and key takeaways. Let's go to the key takeaways. So 3 things I would say you want to make sure of is, the first one is advertise across platforms to meet holiday shoppers whenever they're open to discovering new products online. Second one is, using max conversion value. I would say use target ROAS for the most part, value-based bidding throughout the holiday season to maximize sales with auction time bidding, because the market's like, there's going to be a lot of competitors. A lot of people are going to be searching. A lot of people are going to try to get in front of your customers. So with automation, you are able to really break through some of that noise and get in front of the right people. And then the third one, is ensure you set the right budgets across campaigns to capture increased demands and conversion, because we know it's going to be a very, very uncertain, but hopefully an optimistic and a positive holiday season. My last slide is, it just goes into a little bit more details in terms of what you can do. So for September, check feed health, test automated strategies, review holiday budgets, evaluate your site's customer experience, very, very important. Verify conversion value tracking, prepare high quality creative for your discovery or YouTube. And then October, which is upon us, revisit those strategies, improve customer loyalty, reach new customers across platforms, and apply those learnings, making sure that you are doing everything you can to really squeeze the most out of your marketing campaign. And then, I think November and December is really when you press that pedal and make sure that you are in front of your consumers when they're looking to buy. That's all I got, Erin. Again, thank you so much. I don't know if there's any questions, or am I doing this quiz? Sorry.
Hey, if you want to. Thank you so much, Farjad. I appreciate that. We're going to bring you back in 2 seconds to do some questions for you. But real quick question for the audience. Hope everybody was paying attention. What percentage of shoppers are expecting promotions this holiday season? Submit your answer into the chat box, and we'll give you guys a few more seconds to submit those answers. I see some rolling in. Awesome. Cool. All right, Udayan, let's see that answer. All right, 80%. I see some correct answers here. So again, reminder, the winner of both of these quiz questions will be contacted after today, and we'll collect your information and send you those AirPods. So thank you so much, everybody, for participating in that. That was awesome. And we're now going to move on to our Q&A section for today for Farjad and Udayan. So the first question that we have today for you two, which online consumer trend surprises you the most? And I'll go to Farjad first.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. Which online consumer trend surprises you the most?
I think that's a good question. I don't know if it's necessarily surprising to me, but the fact, the question you had, like 80% of people expect promotion, I think that to me is interesting, because when I would say a year or 2 years ago, I think there was a little shift into lifestyle, where I think that has now sort of coming back into where value is just as important. So I think that one to me is I would say just interesting. I don't know if it's very surprising. I would love to take Udayan's. I would love to see what Udayan thinks.
That's a tough one, Erin. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's a really tough one.
They're not strong.
I think what we have seen is we'll probably be just as a result of people spending more time online. We are seeing that the overall latency, which is the time between the first time a consumer really comes, or let us say someone comes to the website till the time someone purchases, that really has shrunk a little bit. So people are making faster decisions, but within that lesser time, people are coming to the website and checking out multiple times. So the amount of research that they are doing has gone up, right? So you are buying faster, but the amount of research that you are sort of doing has really increased. So as a result of which, I think a couple of things have become important. I think sort of Farjad highlighted that the customer is not only going to Google, but they're going to all the different properties to see as to what is the message. I mean, are you even visible in the different properties, and trying to really form a conception about your brand. I think that's a key component, just being visible at all the different places. Like, for example, even within the Google ecosystem, there is YouTube, there is obviously the Google search, there are the shopping apps which sort of come up, etc., etc. Are you really visible in all these places? And you really have to have a convincing, coherent, streamlined, standardized message everywhere. I think that is something which I thought was pretty interesting, because people are buying quicker, but they are coming to the website multiple times before making a purchase.
Yeah, very interesting consumer behavior there. The next question that we have for you two, what are you most excited to see brands achieve or try this holiday season?
Tough one. I'll probably go first, Farjad. I'm just jumping in. I think
Yes, go ahead.
this will be, I think, as we have both emphasized, and I think sort of Sean kickstarted the entire session, this is going to be an uncertain holiday season, right? The inventory, et cetera, et cetera. So the brand is, or the brand owner, let us say, the e-commerce company or the retailer is working with far more constraints compared to a regular, any other holiday season. It will be interesting to see as to how creative the brands are, right? When I know that this is what it is, and I really know that I have certain inventory constraints, I may have potentially supply chain challenges. I know that the consumer demand can be a little flaky at certain times. And I know that I'm competing with the giants, the Amazons of the world. It becomes extremely important for businesses to be nimble and creative with their entire, the overall promotional and product strategy. That is the 4 P's of marketing. So what will I really promote? And when will I promote becomes important, extremely important. So that's something which I'm really banking on the power of creativity of marketers based on the constraints which are we are very clearly seeing are in place. Farjad, I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think what I'm most, again, if you don't mind repeating the question, I want to make sure I get it right, because I there's excited and there's also like, what will they achieve at? I just want to make sure I get that correct.
Sure, yeah. What are you most excited to see brands achieve or try this holiday season?
I think what would be most exciting for me is making sure that brands understand their customers' digital journey, right? I think that's like to me, that's going to be very, very important. And I think we've made just tremendous, I would say I think brands in general understand a lot better how to be in front of certain type, their customers. I think that's going to continue, and that's going to be just as important into holiday, where I think typically it was more of like making sure that we are just capturing demand. I think it's that creating demand piece is going to be just as important. So making sure that you are interacting with them, not just on search, but also on YouTube and other platforms. I think that to me is going to be, it's difficult, but I think that's where we're headed. So I'm most excited to see that.
Awesome, thank you. And this kind of ties into the last question, but what is one piece of advice that you would give to a brand to prepare for this holiday season?
I can start here, Udayan. One advice I will give, and again, that's just from my lens, is to be nimble and fluid, right? I think that's the most important thing you can do in an uncertain holiday season, and that's, I think, even more important this year than others. But making sure that you can make decisions, quickly, making sure that if there is an opportunity that you are seeing in certain place, you are quick to avail that opportunity because someone else will. So I would say just making sure that you can make, can really capitalize on those opportunities will be, in my opinion, how you're going to be successful.
I totally agree with Farjad. Just to add on, I think it's important for brands to have a plan B ready as well. So be very nimble in terms of activating the plan B, because things may, in certain cases, and we probably can say almost like a level of certainty, will in certain cases go different from what you had anticipated, right? So have a plan B in place as well. So try to do a little bit of a scenario mapping into the future, how exactly this may pan out. And then really based on that, create a plan B, but have that ready, because we have seen time and again, the biggest mistake which a lot of businesses can make or do make essentially is trying to come up with a plan B effectively when some deviation really hits them. So we would request to sort of plan in advance, really get into the scenario mapping and just try to understand as to what can be a potential plan B which addresses the situation. And of course, as Farjad mentioned, being nimble is absolutely key. Yep.
Yeah, so biggest takeaway from that is being prepared, definitely.
Yep.
Last question that I have for you two, with all the uncertainty coming up, which retail category do you project performing the best this holiday season?
I hope all of them. I mean, listen, I'm not choosing one or the other. I think I would say more than industry, I think it matters, in my opinion, on the brands themselves, I think then you're gonna have superstars from every single industry. It's a matter of being prepared and ready to avail that, because we're gonna see certain there's gonna be some people that are gonna be really successful, they're really able to capitalize on this surge that we will see in Q4, and some won't because they won't be ready. So that's what I would say is going to be more important than which industry wins.
That's a great point. I 100% agree with Farjad. I think every category will do well or not do well, right? So I firmly believe that we'll see a 5-95 equation in operation this time. So 5% would be insanely successful, and 95% will not be successful, right? Now, normally in the normal situation, in the normal seasons, I think the number is about 80-20, right? Where 80% are not successful and 20% are. Unfortunately, 20%, just because of the uncertainty, we believe has come down to 5%. And that 5-95, I think, is going to be a differentiator. Every category, I think, that 5% would still exist. In certain categories, that 5 may become to 10, right? I mean, that sort of depends. So that's, I think, the key message. I would tend to agree, and I would probably maybe sort of not mention a specific category, because I think when we are talking about a 6% growth, this, I believe, will come almost across categories. I mean, there are certain categories like fashion apparel, consumer electronics, which are the normal holiday ones, which will do well. But I think it's just a question of who will do well becomes more important rather than what categories will do well. So I'm just sort of banking on that 5%, which will do extremely well. Unfortunately, 95% will not do well. Right. So the question is, are you in that 5%? I think that's a big question.
Yeah. Thank you both so much for your insight today, for sharing some really exceptional content here with everybody. And we appreciate everybody for attending. I do want to remind everyone that we have our holiday growth marketing one-on-one virtual consultations, which everyone here is invited to schedule one with. We will have Google on the call, and these are going to be really beneficial in planning out your upcoming holiday season. As we went over several times today, it is going to be something that, we're all going into it a little unsure of what this is going to look like. So you want to be as prepared as possible. To schedule one of these, you can hit the link that was just sent in the Zoom chat and scroll about halfway down the page. You'll see the sign up link there. And again, I just want to thank you all so much for joining us today. This was really wonderful. Thank you, Farjad and Udayan, and thank you, Heather, for putting this together. And wishing you all the best and for a great upcoming holiday season.
Thank you, Aaron. Bye, everyone.